Capcom announced the sales of their properties, not of all their properties, but what they call their platinum titles, basically stating that any games that basically do over a million sales, a million units sales, are considered platinum titles to them. So they basically made an update to their sales projections, and basically it looks like Monster Hunter is not only Monster Hunter is not only probably one of their most beloved franchises, it's also its most lucrative, which is, I guess, to some may not be so shocking, but to me it kind of is. It looks as if right now Monster Hunter Rise on both Switch and PC has sold 10.3 million units, and that's an additional 1.3 million since March 31st of 2021. And then Sunbreak itself has sold 2.5 million units, and it has since surpassed 3 million since it was announced on January 30th. What else? Monster Hunter World is their biggest game to date. The sales of Monster Hunter World is 18.3 million units, which is insane to me. Iceborne got 9.5 million units. I mean, I knew that Monster Hunter was big in Japan, at least. I knew that. But I guess the relative popularity of World and then Rise have really boosted the sales of this, Zero. I mean, what do you think of these sales numbers for Monster Hunter and for Capcom on this?
I think Rise, the reason the sales numbers are so solid for Rise is mostly because of the fact that while it is a traditional Monster Hunter at heart, it did take some lessons from Monster Hunter World. So there's a bit of streamlining and simplification, but it's still got the very, very meaty mechanics of a traditional Monster Hunter game. Yeah. And this is great because it lowers the barrier of access down quite low. And I will confess, I have tried to get into Monster Hunter multiple times. I tried...
Same here.
Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, didn't like it. Tried Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, tried it, was into it for a bit, didn't like it, dropped off of it. Everyone hyped up Monster Hunter World. I jumped on it, didn't quite like it, and then as the game went longer and longer, the community for it, at least on PlayStation 4, got really shitty, so completely turned me off from playing Monster Hunter World just forever. I skipped Monster Hunter Generations, even though I was quite curious about it. And then when I saw Rise and saw that Rise is going to be set in sort of a fictional spin-off of feudal Japan, I was just like, okay, I could be in for that. And then Capcom's presentation had said, oh yeah, just Rise is your traditional Monster Hunter game, and of course I had some trepidation about that. I was like, oh, this is going to be Monster Hunter 3 and 4 Ultimate all over again, isn't it? And then of course in the presentation they had also mentioned, oh, but by the way, we're also streamlining it, so this is going to be one of the best Monster Hunter games to get into if you've never played a Monster Hunter. Mm-hmm. And from that point I was like, okay, I'm very interested. Just I'll give it a shot. And yeah, it's just been one of the games that just has me really, really hooked into it, because the gameplay loop is fun, the combat is fun for me, and I'm one of those weirdos who uses the insect glaive. So there's that. And yeah, just when the Sunbreak announcement came out, I was quite excited for that. So just when the limited edition for Sunbreak was available, immediately I jumped on that.
Okay. I, like you, tried to get into Monster Hunter multiple times. It started with Freedom Unite, and because of the whole claw thing with the Vita, I was like, yeah, there's no damn way I'm playing it like this. So forget that. Not the Vita, the PSP. Then I played Try on the Wii, and I thought it was kind of cool, but but the systems on it were like so cumbersome. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not really that interested then. And it wasn't until World came out where it clicked and I just got really deep into it. Now, unlike you, I got really into World, but I played it by myself. I didn't play with others. I just stuck with playing the game by myself as a gun lance. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, even when you're, like, what I used to always do in the game when I was really into it was I would do the expeditions, which are basically you kill lower level monsters to get armor spheres. And I would do that essentially every time I played it. Like, I'd do 2 of those and then do another monster mission. And they were instantly they were so satisfying. Like, the combat and the hunting was so satisfying in the game that I just didn't care that I was playing the same monsters over and over again. Like, I really enjoyed it. So, and then you're right about Rise. They took the best parts of World, made it more accessible, and then made the combat even better with the wire bugs, which was really a really good idea, which was actually really good. I'm just really surprised that this game is doing so good in sales that it surpassed a Street Fighter game. Like, I know a lot of people are kind of lukewarm on Street Fighter V, and I get why. But Street Fighter V had 6.6 million copies sold. To the fact that Monster Hunter like for God's sakes, man, the expansions did more sales of Monster Hunter than Street Fighter V, one of their biggest and most popular franchises. That is ridiculous. Like, I was so shocked to see that. But is it deserved? Hell yeah. Like, it did fantastically. So, yeah. Like, I think that's just the one thing that shocked me. But I'm happy that it's doing the sales it's doing. It deserves it. It's fantastic. So, yeah, I was shocked when I heard this. But it was definitely deserved. And I'm glad, finally, that this series is getting enough love back here that they're going to put more time into making this game even better. So that's going to be great. I just wish it was a little more accessible. I think we talked about it off here, where I said I think the eating portion is kind of stupid. Or, like, the fact that you have to use certain drugs in order to be more powerful. At that point, like, why do that? Just up the power quotient of the weapons that you're using and just do that. Why are you saying, oh, well, in order to do this, you have to eat this and take these drugs? I'm like, you just do it. Like, why make it more complex than it needs to be? So I think they have to streamline it a little bit more, but yeah, like, the way it is now is great.
Yeah. Additionally, on the Platinum titles report, the other one that kind of impressed me to a degree was the Resident Evil Village sales over everything. So we're talking PS5, the Xbox Series consoles, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. A grand total of 6.4 million units since release. And then the game sold an additional 300,000 copies from the period of March 31st, 2021 until June 30th of 2022.
Yeah, that is impressive. But what's really impressive is this Biohazard, Resident Evil 7. That did 11 million units. Now, what do you think that is because? Do you think it's because that Village got in between, let's say, that consoles transitioning, and maybe that's why? Or were people too afraid to be stepped on by the main villain? Was that the issue?
I think really part of it is there are probably people who are holding off on playing Resident Evil Village until they get a PS5 or an Xbox Series console.
Okay.
I can certainly confirm that my sister was that way, because she was just like, nope, I'm not going to play Village until I can just get a PS5, sit down, and play that thing start to finish on PS5.
Do you think some are waiting for the VR version?
That's certainly a possibility. The VR version's a little bit of a gimmick. I think the other possibility that could have a bigger influence is the addition of third-person mode, arriving with the new Resident Evil Village Gold update that'll be coming sometime in October.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Because I know I have some friends here and there that have said, I want to play Resident Evil Village, but I cannot do the first-person view. The first-person view is just way too stressful for me.
Okay.
And I get it, because I will concede that I never finished Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, because just the game was just way too tense, and then on top of that, just the game being completely in first-person mode just was a little too tense for me, that I was only able to play the game in just small bursts, and then just I got to a point where I was just like, I just can't do it anymore. Just this is just way too much stress for me.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I guess there's really not much more to say about this, other than I'm really impressed by the Monster Hunter sales, and I guess the only question I have really, does Monster Hunter stay on Nintendo systems, or are they going to go multi-platform with, I guess, like, are they going to do a new world and do like a really pretty version of Monster Hunter on, let's say, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5? Or will they keep these games on the Nintendo Switch? Because I gotta be honest with you, I didn't think that I thought the sales were going to be good, but I didn't think it was be this good for Rise. I mean, that's gotta be, and you're spending less money on making it on the Switch, so you got to expect that you got much more profits off of this than World. So yeah, I mean, is there a possibility that it stays on the Nintendo?
I think so, mostly because the sales are just that good.
Mm-hmm.
And especially from the fact that just at least in Japan, the mainline Monster Hunter games have always been sort of on a portable-ish platform. Granted, the Wii versions were always a bit of the exception to the rule, but Monster Hunter 3 and Monster Hunter 4, those had versions on the 3DS. And then you have Monster Hunter Generations, which was a Switch launch title. So I think as it stands, it's probably just going to remain on Switch going forward. But that's my personal opinion on it.
I know there was a free-to-play version of Monster Hunter about a decade ago. I think it's called Frontiers, right? What are the odds that they look at this and go, could we make a free-to-play version that, like, I'll word it this way. Could the next version, either not the next one, but the next after, could possibly be a free-to-play Monster Hunter?
That would be an interesting experiment to see, because I believe the previous free-to-play Monster Hunter game was a Chinese market-only one.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And if I remember right, that one took the usual tropes of Chinese free-to-play gaming. So lots of pay-to-win sort of mechanics, but that's what the Chinese market likes, unfortunately. So if they do something like a free-to-play Monster Hunter game, they're going to have to be very, very careful, especially if they're aiming for a global audience, because while a lot of the free-to-play Asian gaming communities have no issue just with paying out the nose for just overpriced power upgrades to let them look swag and everything. Just it's not going to fly with the West as well, because a lot of people will just look at it and go, really? Just I don't know. Let's say hypothetical example of something like you get enough mats to get to a rank 3 weapon right from the get-go or something. Just if it was something like that, and it's just like, oh yeah, enough mats to make a rank 3 weapon, and it's going to cost you like a whopping $30 or something for all the mats to do that.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of Western players just look at that and balk and just go, hell no, I'm not spending $30 on stuff that I can just just be free to play trash and just slowly earn over time. Because yeah, that's fucking crazy talk. Get your head out of your ass, Capcom.
Yeah, I think the route they will go, my opinion, honestly, is that instead of, let's say, your method of basically saying that in order to get the mats, you either have to slowly grind away to get them, or you could pay money. I think what they'll do is they'll, instead of saying, I'm going to go fight this monster, instead, what they'll do is, okay, choose which location you're going to be, and then 3 random monsters will show up in that location. I think that is what they'll do. And then you would have to, let's say, purchase tokens to get better odds or guaranteed odds on a certain monster spawning. I think that is what they'll do.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see something like that. At least with the lens of like a cold business executive making that kind of decision. Just nothing like selling guaranteed hunt tokens or something like that.
Right. And I'm only thinking of that because of Diablo Immortal. So
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, fantastic. I can't wait for more Monster Hunter, and yeah, that's great that it's gotten the sales that it's gotten. It's deserved. So there we go.